I am the chief secretary of the Prince of the Zhang family. My professional ability and work attitude are both the best in the industry, but my colleagues are implicitly implicated because of my outstanding appearance. Until the prince was flirting with his girlfriend in the bar, he answered my work call. The next day, his girlfriend came to the company and slapped me. I sneered and tore off my work badge and threw it on Zhang Chunyi's face. You bitch, you are so naughty. I will fire you, the useless boss. I wish your company will close down tomorrow and you will beg for food under the overpass the day after tomorrow. The main text starts now. Just when the Zhang family and the Lin family were bidding at the last minute, a woman with exquisite makeup and fashionable clothes broke into my office, grabbed my hair, and slapped me in the face. The male assistant in the same office with me raised his eyebrows. Instead of thinking about separating us, he turned on his mobile phone and started recording with great interest. The girl had a hideous face and was about to hit me again, but I reacted and twisted her arm and pressed her on the desk. I held the girl's head with one hand and was about to ask her a question when I heard her struggling. Songzi Hizu, you bitch, you can only climb into the boss bed, and you dare to hook up with my boyfriend. I instantly understood the whole story, and a trace of annoyance flashed across my face. It turned out to be the boss Zhang Chunyi's girlfriend. I was about to make a sarcastic remark, but Zhang Chunyi broke in and pointed at my nose and cursed. Songzi Hizu, let go of Wan. Workers are already annoyed on Mondays, and when I encounter such a stupid boss, my patience is even less. I grabbed the girl's hair, kicked her in the butt with a high-heeled shoe, and kicked her into Zhang Chunyi's arms. Zhang Chunyi glared at me and took the girl into the president's office. I silently counted my annual salary of nearly 7 figures in my heart and forced myself to calm down. The male assistant on the side saw the boss leave, chuckled, and deliberately said in a voice that everyone could hear, I said that people should be down to earth. Some people rely on sleeping with the boss to get promoted, but they will eventually capsize in the ditch. Because I was there, no one around responded to his words. But I couldn't stand it anymore, so I threw the documents on the desk, then took a big step to the male assistant and slapped him. The male assistant was knocked unconscious, and before he could react, I grabbed his collar and dragged him to the hall. The office of the president's assistant is next to the administrative department. I kicked the male assistant to the ground and pointed at him and cursed. Say it again if you have the guts. Who gets promoted by sleeping with the boss? I have been in Jiang since I graduated, and I have worked diligently for 7 years to get to this position. You want to erase my efforts by making up a dirty rumor? As I said that, I picked up the small fish ink that the administrative sister had placed on the table and smashed it hard on the male assistant's head. The administrative sisters around me saw that I was angry and immediately stepped forward to persuade them to stop fighting. While I was persuading them, Zhang Chunyi came out with his girlfriend, saw the mess on the ground, frowned and asked what happened. The administrative sister on the side immediately repeated it. Who knew that before I could finish, Zhang Xinyan interrupted me impatiently. What's the big deal, Songjia Hizu? You just got a few comments from others. It won't hurt you. Is it necessary to make such a fuss? Besides, you were promoted too quickly. It's normal for people to talk about you. Look at it more positively. The girlfriend standing next to him also rolled her eyes at me and snorted with disdain. But my hands and feet were cold. It seemed that there was no need for me to stay in this company. Since the boss is going to be fired, no one will live. I looked at Zhang Chunyi steadily and made him look unnatural. Then I slowly stepped forward and slapped him hard, doing what the workers wanted to do most. I smiled and breathed a sigh of relief. The colleagues around me widened their eyes, and even Zhang Chunyi looked at me in disbelief. I lifted my hair, put my hands on my hips, pointed at Zhang Chunyi's nose and cursed. Fuck you, Zhang Chunyi. You are a useless piece of shit with no professional ability. I relied on my own strength and spent 7 years to be promoted to the position of assistant to the president. How dare you say that I was promoted too fast? Tell me honestly which big order in this company was not signed by me, Songzi Hizu. You bitch, you only know how to drink, go to bars and sleep with little girls, and you dare not say a word when something big happens. Go to your dad, you are going to resign anyway. I might as well tear off the fig leaf. You don't really think that I have a crush on you, so I am diligently cleaning your ass and helping you solve work problems. Bullshit. If your dad hadn't been afraid that something would happen to you and gave me a lot of money, I would have kicked you out and changed jobs long ago. You do nothing all day long and just pick up girls. Only half of this year has passed, and I have taken 3 misses. Jiang reserved to the hospital for abortion. Hearing this, the sisters in the administrative department took a breath of cold air and looked at them in disbelief. The boss girlfriend also pushed him away and said in a lost voice, Zhang Chun-Ian, didn't you say I was your first love? I rolled my eyes at the couple, ripped off the work badge on my neck, and slammed it on Zhang Chun-Ian's face. You bitch, I'm going to fire you, the useless boss. I hope your company will close tomorrow and you'll beg for food under the overpass the day after tomorrow. After such a madness, I quit. I went back to my seat and got my bag. I held my head high and left the company under everyone's gaze. The upper class in Beijing spreads information very quickly, not to mention that the one who got into trouble was the Zhang family, who is fighting to the death with the Lin family. There was no one in the bar at noon, so I just smiled and chatted with the bartender's sister. My best friend who received the news rushed into the bar, but saw me holding a glass of Sprite and chatting happily with someone. She sat down beside me and said anxiously, Shizu, something big has happened. You have been banned by Zhang Chun-Ian. I raised my eyebrows and wanted to laugh. Banning me, Zhang Chun-Ian really knows how to make a scene for himself. Who does he think he is, the prince of the Golden Circle? Seeing my nonchalant look, my best friend was stunned for a moment. I opened my phone casually, and there was a message from the administrative sister. Baby, mister. Zhang said that he is bidding with Lin recently. He understands that you are under a lot of work pressure. If you go to apologize to Mr. Zhang, he will pretend that what happened today never happened. The more I read the message, the more I wanted to laugh. Apologize, right? I clicked on Zhang Chun-Ian's WeChat avatar, and under my best friend's horrified gaze, I pressed the voice button and started to curse in Chinese. Zhang Chun-Ian, my new account. In just a short while, I sent Zhang Chun-Ian a lot of 60-second warm blessings. After sending the voice message, I threw my phone away and sat on a high stool with my feet crossed. The bartender was watching from the side and was amazed by me. She made me a cocktail with a bold color and offered it to me. I accepted it with a smile. My best friend was stunned, and it took her 5 minutes to find her voice again. I believe you are not just throwing a tantrum. You really don't want to work at Jiang's anymore. I sneered and said lightly, I have worked at Jiang's for 7 years. I have worked hard even if I have not made any contributions. I think I've worked hard all these years and I deserve the salary Zhang Chun-Ian gave me. But Zhang Chun-Ian has become arrogant in the past 2 years. He is afraid that I will become a CEO in name only, so he allowed rumors to spread about me unkept, asking me to deal with his private life, making it impossible for me to concentrate on my work. My eyes gradually darkened, but he forgot that 70 of the big orders of the Zhang family were signed by me. Song Jia Hi's left Jiang's, and she is still Song Zhizu with full professional ability. But the Zhang family will be in trouble without Song Zhizu. Seeing that my mental state was stable, my best friend no longer cared whether I quarreled with the boss or not. Since I was here, she asked for a glass of wine and sat down to drink. I didn't leave Jiang's on a whim. In the past 2 years, Zhang Chun-Ian has frequently asked me to contact his girlfriend, deliberately creating the illusion that I am very familiar with him. Even the words he said to me in the company were ambiguous. Even under my warning, he still smiled. I know what he is planning. He wants me to resign under the pressure of rumors so that he does not have to pay N+1 and can easily get the control of Jiang's. Now he is pretending to keep me, which is so funny. I will take this last chance to scold him. After a drink, I closed and prepared to pay the bill and leave. My best friend on the side pulled me and looked at the phone with joy. This news is too fast. I frowned, but my best friend shook her arm excitedly. Zijun Fei, the eldest daughter of the Zi family in Hai Cheng, heard that you fired Zhang Chun-Ian and immediately contacted me to let me rescue you. I raised my eyebrows. H.A. Chang's family. My best friend then read the message on his phone. IGFE, I said that he doesn't care whether Zhang Chunyin bans you or not. As long as you join Ease, he can protect you, and said that your salary will increase by 20 after joining, and another 10 next year. I calculated my annual salary with my fingers and agreed immediately. As the only daughter of the Z family and H.A. Cheng and the future person in power, I will definitely benefit from following Zhejian, FEI. I immediately added me as a friend and said that he was attending university nearby and would be here soon. I replied with a smile and then cheered with my best friend to celebrate my new seamless job. I can only say that Zhejian FEI is worthy of being a child who grew up under genetic education. When he arrived at the bar, he immediately negotiated with me about work. He said that he knew my ability and level, and he just came to Beijing and happened to need an assistant like me. I smiled and gave him a shot of forewarning. Ms. Ji, you should know why Zhang Chunyin and I broke up, right? Butchun Effie, I said straightforwardly, I know. It's because Zhang Chunyin himself is incompetent and narrow-minded. He is afraid that you will be more successful than him, so he used despicable means to force you to resign. He seemed to know what I was worried about and immediately assured me I am still in college now, and it is a bit beyond my ability to manage the Beijing branch of the Z family. And I will not be as petty as Zhang Chunyin, who will not let go of your achievements. When you come to Z's, you will be the executive of my will. On the premise that the general direction is not wrong, I will not interfere too much in your work. As he spoke, he took the file bag handed over by the assistant. I opened it, and what caught my eye was the share donation contract and even the real estate brochure. Zhaijun, I child. Z's never treats talented people unfairly. If you join Z's, I will give you shares and buy you a house near the company to solve your commuting problem. This is my sincerity. After Zhejian, Effie finished speaking, the bar became quiet, and only the sound of the bartender's sister fiddling with ice cubes could be heard. I smiled and looked at him and stretched out my right hand. Then, boss, when will we sign the contract? I met Zhang Chunyin again at the bidding meeting with Lin. Lin and Zi's relationship is very good. In order to train me, Zijin Fei specially arranged me to train and learn in Lin. I entered the venue with the boss of Lin and happened to meet Zhang Chunyin and his secretary in the elevator. I stood beside Lin Yitang, constantly confirming the information that needed to be presented at the meeting. Zhang Chunyin said firmly, Boss Lin is really a prime minister with a big stomach. He even dared to take in a traitor. I raised my head suddenly and looked at Zhang Chunyin, the wretched male assistant beside him with sharp eyes. Lin Yitang held my shoulder, turned around and smiled. Don't worry, Boss Zhang. What I, Lin Yitang, love most is talent, not to mention that GHIs resigned because of workplace harassment. I want to recruit him even more. After that, the elevator arrived at the station, and Lin Yitang took me away. And I took the opportunity to turn around gorgeously and gave Zhang Chunyin the middle finger. Lin Yitang smiled and glanced at me, whispering, Actually, you don't have to pay attention to him. The plan and price we prepared this time are very advantageous. We will slap him in the face at the bidding site. But I was itching. Zhang Chunyin, but the assistant behind him was a big bitch. It was him who spread rumors about me at Jiang's, and I beat him up. I didn't expect that he would be promoted after I left. Lin Yang raised his eyebrows and thought, in this case, let me help you deal with them. Because it involves the internet field, the bidding site is not like the traditional industry, but requires PPE presentation with award bids and on-site negotiations. On the Lin side, Lin Yitang opened the PPT that had been prepared long ago. A carefully prepared manuscript in Lin Yitang, who is a perfect award bidder, even I couldn't help but secretly admire it in my heart. On the other hand, in Jiang's, I used to take care of such things and then sign Zhang Chunyin's name. Now, without me, Zhang Chunyin has no experience at all, so the PPT he produced was shoddy, not to mention that Zhang Chunyin stuttered when introducing it, and it was obvious that he didn't have a deep understanding of his own product. I sat in the audience and sneered. As expected without me, Zhang Shen-ian had completely lost the capital to fight against Lin. He wanted power, but didn't have the corresponding ability, and the end result was to be laughed at. The result of the bidding was beyond doubt. Under Zhang Shen and stinky face, Lin Yitang shook hands with the leader of Party A and proposed that everyone have dinner together in the evening. The leader of Party A readily agreed. Zhang Shen-ian knew that he couldn't afford to offend the other party's status, so he could only agree with a smile. At the dinner table, I sat next to Lin Yitang. Zhang Shen-ian, who was opposite me, looked at me with ill intentions, and then laughed with the leader sitting at the top. Lin, the little secretary next to you is too tactless. Didn't you see that the leader's wine glass was empty? Why didn't you go to refill it? Lin Yitang and I looked at each other, stood up with the wine bottle, and smiled and filled it for the leader. Zhang Shen-ian continued, "You are too tactless. You just pour wine for the leader. Come on, give him a toast." I slowly clenched my hand holding the bottle, wanting to hit Zhang Shen-ian on the head with the bottle. Lin Yitang, who was standing on the side, heard Zhang Shen-ian say this, and his face turned cold. "Mr. Zhang, it's too much to say this. I haven't said anything myself. How can you be here to shout and yell? What's more, I said before the meal that we know that it's not convenient today and we can't drink. Are you trying to use the leader to embarrass us?" As he spoke, Lin Yitang took the bottle from my hand and put it heavily on the dining table. There was a moment of silence in the box, and I lowered my head to cover up my gloating smile. Back to his seat, Zhang Shen-ian glanced at the leader, who was in an unpredictable mood, gritted his teeth, and reprimanded the assistant beside him. "You tactless thing, why don't you give the leader a toast?" After that, he put on a flattering face and apologized to the leader. The male assistant was scolded, and he pinched his head to toast everyone present one by one. When it was Lin Yang's turn, he directly covered the cup with his hand, and the rhinestones on his nails sparkled in the warm orange light of the box. "You are not qualified to pour me." After saying that, he ignored the embarrassment of the male assistant, sat down by himself, picked up the shrimp on the plate, and started to peel the shrimp. I glanced at Zhang Shen-ian, whose perfect mask was broken, and lowered my head to try to hold back my laughter. I just found out that Lin Yitang's mother's family is related to this leader. We are all family members, so there is nothing to be ashamed of. On the other hand, Zhang Shen-ian, who was here without doing a clear background check, was really a clown. But it was also true, after all. I was the one who did the background check before. Thinking of this, I was a little depressed. If I had known that he was treating me like a cow and a horse, I would have changed jobs long ago. I heard from the administrative sister who stayed in the Zhang family that after the Zhang family failed in the bid, Zhang Shen-ian got very angry and scolded the people who had a good relationship with me before and successfully forced several technical masters away. As a gold medal headhunter, my best friend immediately contacted those technical bosses and divided them equally between Linzhen's ease and reaped a lot of reward. The bidding is over, and my training period at Lin's is about to end. Before leaving, Lin Yitang took Zijun, Fei, and I to have a meal. After dinner, Lin Yitang treated me on Zijun, Fei to go to the bar to play. After 3 rounds of drinks, Lin Yitang's phone rang. The man on the other end had a nice voice and asked him when he would be home. Jun Fei drank a little too much, leaned on me, and looked at Lin Yitang with a teasing look on his face. I don't like drinking, so I am the most sober one at the scene. The young man ran to our booth, drunkenly undasked Iju, Fei for his reach it with a smile. I looked up at the little boy and raised my hand to refuse. Who knew that the man looked back at his companion, and with a bit of anger and humiliation from being rejected, he said, "You bitch, why are you pretending to be noble? You've come to the bar and you're still pretending. Do you know who I am? How dare you reject me?" As he spoke, the man grabbed the half-drunk wine on the table and threw it on the ground, splashing the clear liquid on the back of my high-heeled feet. I raised my eyelids to look at the man, and Zhang Shen-ian, who was standing behind me, was watching the fun with gloating. I gently put Zijun Fei down, slowly stood up, stretched my muscles, and sneered, "Your mouth has been drowned in a manure tank, so it's tink. I don't care who you are. Today, I will teach you a lesson." I kicked him in the crotch, and the loser immediately fell to the ground, holding his crutch. Seeing their own people being wronged, the people around Zhang Chen immediately moved, cursing. I am a ruthless man with a black belt in Taekwondo, so I didn't care about him. Those few weak brothers rushed to Zhang Chen and picked up the wine bottle on the small round table and blew his head. Zhang Chen didn't expect me to hit him. He covered his head and wanted to fight back, but I grabbed his collar and slapped him a few times. While beating me, he cursed, "You bitch! You dare to cause trouble for me. I will beat you to death. You nerd with kidney deficiency. You get a sense of accomplishment by beating women, right?" The bar owner, who came over after hearing the noise, immediately separated us. In the chaos, I kicked Zhang Chen hard a few times. The girls around were watching the atmosphere. It was the first time they saw the romantic Zhang Shao being beaten into such a state. They all stared with their mouths open. The end of the beating was to sit in the police station and drink tea. I sat next to me, uncomforted me, telling me not to be afraid. Lin Yitang was outside making a phone call with a calm face, asking Herfei Eng to bring a lawyer to rescue the person. Zhang Chen, who was on the side, covered his face and threatened me with curses, saying that if I dared to beat him, he would make me spend the rest of my life in jail. I sneered and mercilessly exposed Zhang Chen shortcomings to Zhen Fei. "I'm not afraid. I don't know how many times I've been to this police station. For honey traps, crackdowns on pornography and illegal publications, and provoking trouble, Zhang has always been a frequent visitor to the police station. Every time it was my mother who saved him. Now this is just a grizzle. Nothing happened." After a while, Lin Yitang brought people in and said to me, "The police just watched the surveillance of the bar. It was Zhang Chen people who started the trouble, so it is understandable that you fought back. Now, pack up and go home. You two can stay at my house tonight." Sijin Fei and I got up with our bags. When we passed by Zhang Chen, we saw him with his head down. Next to the police stood the lawyer found by Lin Yitang and negotiated. Lin Yitang sneered and said lightly, "From tomorrow on, the bar will be named Lin. The gangsters who wanted to beat you have been dealt with. You will never appear in Beijing in this life." In the evenings, Zhen Fei sneaked into my room with a computer with a gleam in his eyes. "Do you want revenge?" I raised my eyebrows and made a place for him on the bed. "Zhang Chen?" To Zhen Fei nodded excitedly, pointing to the file on his computer. The Zhang family invested in a large paper mill near Anhui, claiming to have occupied 60 of the domestic high-end paper market, and it is listed in China, which is a good investment target. I raised my eyebrows and immediately understood what he meant. "Do you suspect that his data is fake?" Zhen Fei smiled and nodded, and then showed me another document. "First of all, although the Zhang family is cautious, there are always omissions. The field of building materials that their family is mainly engaged in has not been upgraded in accordance with the requirements of the country in recent years. So now it is basically playing a borderline ball, and it will be finished if you are not careful. Secondly, I have been eyeing the Zhang family since I came to Beijing, and now I have a lot of materials about them. As long as there is a problem with their paper mill, I will add insult to injury and short the Zhang family at that time. It's simple." Looking at Zhen Fei, whose eyes were shining with the light of a capitalist, I knew that he was sure of it and nodded and said, "So what do I need to do? Investigate the paper mill?" Zhen F. I shook his head and said clearly, "Just stay in Zhang Chen. Annoy Zhang Chen when you have nothing to do, and remember to steal more of his business." I nodded. "This is not a difficult task. I have been in Jiang's for 7 years and I'm the best at doing this kind of thing." Zhang Chen finally returned home wholeheartedly, but this time he not only offended Lin's, but also the Zi family and Hai Cheng. At that time, Zhang's father was discussing business with Mrs. C and Hai Cheng, and it seemed that they were about to succeed, but Zhang Chen intervened and defended Zhen Fei, the daughter of the Zi family. Mrs. Z was so angry that she broke the contract on the spot and turned to cooperate with local companies in Hai Cheng. It was useless for Zhang Chen to retain him, so he had to fly back to Beijing. Therefore, Zhang Chen was put in solitary confinement when he returned home, and even the company was taken over by his younger brother. I know that Jiang Chen-ian has put in so much thought and even fired me, a capable general, in order to keep Jiang's company firmly in his hands. Now that his illegitimate son has taken the position, it makes him more uncomfortable than killing him. Zhejian FEI flew to Zhanghe for an on-site visit and granted me full authority to manage the branch of the Zi family in Beijing. In order to make amends, Jiang's father simply opened a party at the Jiang family. I wanted to invite Saiju, Jin FEI, to the cocktail party, and I also wanted to take the opportunity to match Zijun FEI with my illegitimate son. If it works, it would be a huge profit. I sent a message to Zijun FEI, and he told me to wear the clothes he made for me. He was at a critical juncture here. In order not to alert the enemy, it would be best for me to stir up some internal conflicts in the Zhang family so that they would be busy fighting among themselves and not pay attention to the paper mill. I gladly accepted it. Therefore, when Jiang's father saw that it was me who got out of the Zi family's luxury car, the expression on his face was very wonderful. After all, he has always looked down on me. In his eyes, I am just a dog who is greedy for money and can do anything after giving money. Now I am the vice president of the Zi family branch, second only to the first person and above everyone else, but he has to humble himself to curry favor with me. Looking at Jiang Chen-ian, who was standing next to Jiang's father and was reluctant to come forward, I raised my eyebrows and smiled. Why, Uncle Jiang, don't you welcome me? Father Jiang leered at Jiang Chen-ian, then stepped forward with a smile. Boss Song, you are joking. How could we not welcome you? It's cold outside. Please come in. I wore the small dress that Saijin Fei gave me, smiled and shook hands with Father Jiang, and then walked in. Although I am not from a high family, I have been working in the workplace for almost 8 years. I no longer have the embarrassment of entering the workplace, and I am left with composure. So when I just walked in, I heard a boss in the corner asking the people around him in confusion, whose lady is? Why haven't I seen her before? Is it Ichun FEI? The boss next to him immediately refuted him. You are confused. This is Song Jai Hizu, the former assistant of young Master Zhang. Now he has jumped to the Zi family as vice president. Oh, I just saw Boss Zhang nodding and bowing to him. It is true that you should not despise the poor young man. The guests arrived and the cocktail party began. The boss who used to work with me recognized me and talked to me with a smile. Boss Song is really successful in his career. Now he looks better and better. I glanced at Jiang Chen-ian, who was not far away, and deliberately said in a voice that he could hear, "Of course, people move and live, trees move and die. Of course, I am very happy now that I have been promoted and given a raise." The boss laughed, raised his glass to clink glasses with me, and told me about the cooperation with Zhao. I was in full swing here, but there was no one at Jiang Chen-ian's place. The Jiang family now attaches great importance to illegitimate children, and even handed over the company to the illegitimate child who just graduated. Therefore, everyone is unsure of Jiang's father's attitude towards Jiang Chen-ian, and no one took the initiative to talk to him at the party. Seeing Jiang Chen-ian being isolated, I smiled and picked up a glass of wine from the tray in the waiter's hand and walked slowly to Jiang Chen-ian's side. Seeing that young Master Zhang is so down and out, I feel much better. Jiang Chen-ian was irritated by the gloating in my eyes, gritted his teeth and whispered, "Songjai Hizu, I shouldn't have rescued you from the lenders in the first place. I should have let you die in the hands of those gangsters instead of letting you repay your benefactor with enmity like now." I took a step back and able to hide the sarcasm in my eyes, but still with a smile on my face. "Did you save me, or did you design for me to bear the debt that did not belong to me? And let me work for the Zhang family and for you." Zhang Chen-ian's eyes flashed with a trace of panic, but he was still stubborn. "What nonsense are you talking about? It was obviously me who saved you, and you still want to frame me." I stared impressed. I have obviously given up inheriting my parents' inheritance, and I don't have to repay the loan that my father owed to the bank due to his illness. Why is there a group of people claiming to be debt collectors who just happened to force me to repay the loan when I graduated from college and was penniless, and even chased me, forced me, and beat me? And why did you just show up and let me work for you for 5 years for only 150,000? Jiang Shan Ian was pressed step by step by step by me, speechless in the corner of the banquet hall. I sneered and shook the wine in the glass. Do you know why I followed Aijun, FEA? I found out the truth of the past the day after I joined the Z family. You were jealous that I was better than you and could easily get the guaranteed admission quota that you couldn't get, so you found a group of gangsters and pretended to be debt collectors to harass me. At that time, they not only came to the school to make trouble, but also went to the company where I worked part-time to make trouble, which made it impossible for me to work and study part-time. It just so happened that you lent a hand at this time and made me sign a contract to sell my body. I looked at Zhang Chenian with a guilty face and smiled and said, during these years when I was by your side, did you laugh at me in your heart for being stupid and easily falling into your trap? It's a pity that I've climbed to a higher place now, to a position where I can crush you to death. Don't you hate your illegitimate child? Then I will let you watch this illegitimate child take over, leaving you with nothing and becoming a joke in Beijing. After saying that, I ignored Zhang Chenian, picked up the cup, turned around and walked towards the banquet hall with a smile. The second wife of the Zhang family is also a wonderful person. She brought her son to talk to people in the banquet hall openly. I heard that she used to be the personal secretary of Jiang's father, taking advantage of the decline of Mrs. Jiang's mother's family. She quickly got together with Jiang's father. So during my last days in Jiang's, the male assistant also ridiculed me for wanting to learn from the second wife of the Zhang family and sleep with Zhang Chenian's wife from an assistant. Seeing me coming, she didn't avoid me. She smiled and took my hand and praised me. Miss Song is really a handsome man. He is good-looking and capable at work. I smiled and thanked her for the compliment, turned around and started chatting with the illegitimate son. Jiang's father came over and heard me say, I didn't expect that young Master Zhang likes jewelry design so much. Miss Ji asked me to tell you that she just bought a piece of jewelry at the auction, but she doesn't like the design. When she comes back from Suzhou, she wants you to go over and have a look. Do you have time? Before the young master of the Zhang family spoke, Jiang's father, who was standing aside, immediately smiled and said, Of course we have time. It depends on when Miss Zi comes back. We all have time. I smiled and nodded, and looked at the mistress and smiled at each other. Jiang Chen Ian, who was not far away, naturally heard it, and a trace of gloom flashed in his eyes. Although I was not beside him, I knew what he was thinking at a glance. He has been playing very hard outside in recent years. Any wealthy family with a little background in Beijing knows about his great achievement of having 3 children in half a year. Therefore, there are not many big families willing to marry him, and he doesn't like to marry into a small family. Now the illegitimate son of the Zhang family is already favored. If he marries the Zi family, which is higher than the Zhang family, then he will have no chance of winning. He must do something now for. I looked at the fire in his eyes, and a hidden smile slowly rose at the corners of my mouth. Doesn't this provoke internal conflicts? What a simple thing. After Zijan Fei came back from Zanghe, he really brought information about the paper mill's fraud. They claimed that the recycled cardboard was worth 25 million, but it was actually a pile of soaked waste paper shells, not to mention that the advanced paper-making equipment in the brochures were nothing more than machines with serious pollution and inaccurate precision. I looked at the photos brought by Zijin Fei and understood it may not matter if this paper mill collapsed. The key is that it bears the name of the Zhang family. Zijin Fei smiled and said, Yes, it really saves effort to talk to smart people. Half a month later, the media reported that a paper mill near Zanghe had serious pollution, posing a serious threat to the health of nearby residents. And the paper mill was high and the smoke was billowing, so no one dared to go there for miles. Originally, the pollution caused by a paper mill would not cause much waves, but at this time, an environmental protection document was suddenly issued, and the paper mill instantly became the first to be exposed. The local relevant departments immediately shut down the paper mill. As soon as the punishment was issued, it immediately aroused the suspicion of shareholders. This paper mill clearly claimed in its brochure that it had installed the most advanced pollution treatment equipment. Why was it stopped now? Because of pollution. At the same times, Ajun Fe I paid it a posit and ended up, while I contacted the media and began to expose the financial fraud and deception of shareholders by the paper mill under Jiang's. On the other hand, Ajun Fe I also contacted a research institute, published a report confirming the fact that the paper mill was fraudulent. For a time, the share price of Jiang's paper mill plummeted. While we were operating, of course, the Zhang family also received the news. The paper mill was the first industry that Zhang Chenian took the lead in purchasing. He originally wanted to save it, but his illegitimate son and mistress were eyeing him come to slide. As long as he left Forzan, he would quickly lose everything in Beijing. Just when the stock price of the paper mill fell to the bottom, Zijun Fe I closed his position and made a profit, leaving Zhang Chenian with a big mess. Zhang Chenian was not in the mood to operate it anymore, so he simply closed the paper mill. He originally thought that he was just closing a factory, and as long as he could win it back in Beijing, those were just drizzle. Of course, we know what he is thinking. On the day the paper mill announced its bankruptcy, the famous paparazzi in the entertainment industry announced that they would broadcast the news live, and there was also news leaked saying it was about a Beijing nobleman and a second-tier actress, including falling in love, getting pregnant, and then having an abortion. When this news came out, everyone was immediately excited. After all, this paparazzi was for his integrity, and all the gossip he said was true. When I gave this information to the paparazzi, I was sure that Zhang Chenian would not buy the gossip back. After all, he is not a public figure, and it is the second-tier actress who is embarrassed. And the actress thought that Zhang Chenian, a rich man who cherishes his reputation, would definitely buy the gossip in advance. Who knew that when the paparazzi was counting down, she found out that Zhang Chenian didn't want to save her at all? But the paparazzi asked for 30 million yuan, and she bought the mansion, and she didn't have that much liquid funds. Zhang Chenian didn't answer the phone, and he pretended to be dead. The paparazzi kept his word and said in a live broadcast at 8 o'clock that night that Zhang Chenian slept with a second-tier actress. Actress wanted to rely on the child to get ahead. Who knew that Mr. Zhang directly asked his assistant, that is me, to take the actress to have an abortion, and even posted the photos. In the photo, I was wearing a mask, and the actress was pale, wearing a hospital gown, and was supported by me to walk. The fans asked for hammers and got hammers, and the onlookers were satisfied with eating melons. As soon as the black material of the actress came out, everyone immediately pushed the wall down, and it was revealed that she did not respect her predecessors, suppressed her juniors, and rolled her eyes at her fans. The brand she endorsed subsequently proposed to terminate the contract, and several dramas to be broadcast were also canceled. Zhang Chenian was almost unscathed, which was not what we wanted to see. At this time, the shopping mall built by the Zhang family was suddenly exposed to have major fire problems. Someone sent out the design drawings of the shopping mall and found that the design was two cut corners, and the finished product was easy to collapse due to long-term use. The brand that originally wanted to settle and immediately terminated the cooperation and claimed to the outside world that it was waiting for the Zhang family to respond. This part is also managed by Zhang Chenian. I have heard that this is the product of the internal chaos of the branch of Zhang Group. For this shopping mall, the branch squeezed out several excellent talents and finally recruited them temporarily. Now the shopping mall is suspended, and the losses caused every day are immeasurable. Because of the safety issue, Jiang's father was furious and immediately took away Zhang Chenian's power. And because of the peach scandal between Zhang Chenian and the actress, Zhang Chenian can't find anyone willing to marry him now, so everyone has no chance to turn over. Originally, Zhang Chenian failed in the power struggle and was driven out of the Zhang family. It would be fine for me, but now my boss is Yijun Fei, so this matter is still not over. I is a natural businessman. His ambition makes him calculate the Zhang family. It's not just a small paper mill. He wants the entire Zhang family, and my ask is to work with him to completely bring down the Zhang family. Just a mistake in a shopping mall cannot completely shake the Zhang family, but what if it is broken from the inside? The day after Zhang Chenian was driven out of the Zhang family, Jiang's father was paralyzed in bed due to cerebral hemorrhage. The illegitimate son of the Zhang family has completely become the person in charge of the Zhang family. The accounts of the Zhang family are all managed by a professional team. From the outside, they seem to be flawless. After all, they use the same firm as the Z family, and their professional capabilities are top notch in the industry. If you want to be like a brain dead TV series, you can watch it for a lifetime and you won't find any loopholes. But what if Zijin FEI got the real account book of the Zhang family? Zijin FEI and I sat on one side of the negotiation table and opposites at the elegant Mrs. Zhang, the elegant illegitimate son of the Zhang family. After Zhang Peng, the Zhang family, the second wife of the Zhang family, made herself the legitimate Mrs. Zhang. She took out a USB flash drive from her bag and gently placed it on the table. This is all the accounts of the Zhang family. They are the most real losses and profits without whitewashing, as well as the evil deeds done by the Zhang family over the years and the information of those who are in cahoots with them. I nodded and picked up the USB flash drive on the table, and I handed him a card. There is money there that they can never spend in their lifetime. I had a warm smile on my face. We have also transferred some assets to the UK for you. As soon as you land, there will be staff to contact you. Zhang smiled elegantly and intellectually. Then I will let you take care of the domestic affairs. I nodded and smiled to young Master Zhang, who was sitting on the side. Then, young Master Zhang, I wish you a smooth study in life at the Royal College of Art in the UK. After confirming that the information was correct, Mrs. Zhang and young Master Zhang were taken away by his staff and took the nearest flight to go abroad. We had expected that Mrs. Zhang would hand over the Zhang family to someone else as soon as she got it. Just before his Zhan FEI left for the paper mill, Mrs. Zhang discovered our actions. But what surprised us was that she did not report to Jiang's father, but instead made an appointment with me and Zhan FEI to express her demands to us. She said that she did not come to this point voluntarily, and she hated Jiang's father to the core. She could help us take back the Zhang family and let us destroy the Zhang family. The price was that she and her son would get out of here unscathed, and they would have to pay a considerable fee, as well as real estate in the UK. Our Ivajin FEI roughly estimated the value of the Zhang family and then readily agreed. At first, I was a little confused as to why Zijin FEI trusted Mrs. Zhang so much. Who knew that I could mean Mrs. Jiang's resume, and I knew why. Because Mrs. Jiang's first half of her life was almost the same as mine. She graduated from the finance department of Jingchang University and had a fiancé who loved her but was favored by the then dandy Jiang's father, who coerced and lured her to give up the opportunity to study further, and also found a group of hooligans to force Mrs. Jiang's fiancé to death and finally got out of here unscathed. Mrs. Jiang was forced to become Jiang's father's life secretary and lover. She wanted to fight to the death, but found out in despair that she was pregnant. For the sake of the child in her belly and for herself, she accepted her fate. Jiang's father was overjoyed and even took her back to the Jiang family mansion. But according to later information, we can roughly infer that the child is most likely not Jiang's father's, but her fiancé's. The illegitimate child probably knew his life experience, and then, under the education of his mother day after day, he hated Jiang's father to the bone. In addition, Mr. Zhang had no intention of doing business, so he had no obsession with the Zhang family. Now they have been given the opportunity to retreat unscathed, and they are happy to do it. With the internal accounts, Gaji I and I were like gods, and we brought down the Zhang family within 3 months. The assets, customers, and companies of the Zhang family all took on the surnames E within these 3 months. Songsha Zhu and Zijin FEI's reputations became a hit in Beijing. No one could have imagined that the wealthy Zhang family was brought down by 2 girls who were no more than 30 years old. Jiang's father was lying on the hospital bed. He was furious when he learned that the power of the Zhang family had fallen into someone else's hands. He struggled to get up but was powerless. He could only wave his arms in the air and shouted at the top of his lungs that he wanted to see Mrs. Zhang. I stood at the door of the ward with a sneer on my lips, watching the medical staff tie him up and send him to the sanatorium. It was really sad that the once arrogant head of the Zhang family had ended up like this, and all this was the result of his son and the entire Zhang family's own fault. As Aijun, FBI recognized my ability in the process of overthrowing the Zhang family. During the Chinese New Year, she warmly invited me to go back to the Zi family in Cheng. The moment I stepped into the door of the Zi family, I felt an atmosphere completely different from that of the Zhang family. There was no intrigue here, but harmony and warmth instead. The Zi family has a unique tradition that every person in power must choose his own confidence to make long-term plans for the future development of the family. What surprised and touched me without hesitation. Mrs. Zai said my parents had both passed away and I was alone and helpless. She felt pity for me and not only let me stay at home for the new year, but also recognized me as her godmother. From that moment on, I was no longer an orphan without support, and I truly had a warm home. After returning to Beijing after the new year, Zaijin Fi began to count the assets left by the Zhang family. As a former wealthy family, the Zhang family has many industries under its umbrella covering many fields. Zaijin Fi looked at the piles of information and turned to ask me which company I wanted. She admitted that her current management energy is limited, and she hoped that I could invest a large proportion of shares in one of its branches while serving as the vice president of the head office. This is undoubtedly a generous gift in front of me. I almost didn't hesitate and decisively chose an internet-related company. After working hard in the business world for these years, I know that the internet industry has great development potential, and I also have a deep understanding and unique insights into this field. I looked at my firm eyes, and a hint of admiration flashed in her eyes. She probably guessed what I was thinking. We smiled at each other, and without saying much, we were already in tune with each other. A week later, I arranged all the work of the head office properly, took my assistant, took a luxury car, and went to the newly acquired branch in high spirits. When the car slowly stopped in front of the company building, I looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar building, and my heart was filled with emotion. This is where I worked as an assistant for 7 years. I used to work silently here, but suffered a lot of grievances. Now I have returned as a boss and become the master here. The company's door has been replaced with the Z's unified logo, which is brand new and eye-catching. I walked into the company with a confident step. The girl at the front desk didn't recognize me at first. Just as I was about to ask according to the routine, I was quietly poked by a colleague next to me and whispered, "This is our new boss," called the president. The girl at the front desk reacted instantly with a surprised and embarrassed expression on her face and hurriedly greeted me. I smiled and nodded to everyone and walked all the way to the president's office. Pushing open the door of the president's office, the scene that came into my eyes made me feel a little ripple in my heart. Sitting at the original workstation was the male assistant who had spread rumors and slandered me. When he saw me come in, his face turned pale instantly. His body subconsciously straightened, lowered his head, and stammered to greet me. I looked him up and down with a trace of scrutiny in my eyes, but I didn't say a word. I won't fire him easily. After all, I have to pay a compensation for firing him, and I won't waste money on such a person. Moreover, with his workability, normal work tasks are enough to make him anxious, and I have plenty of ways to make him pay for his past behavior. Looking at Zhang Chun-Ian's things that have not been cleaned up on the table, the racing car model that once symbolized his arrogance and despotism, I can't help but recall the difficult years when I just graduated. At that time, because of my lack of experience, although I worked hard, the plans I made were always imperfect. Zhang Chun-Ian would call me into the office, mercilessly throw the documents at me, and insult me with the most vicious language, saying that I was a useless waste, and that he was the only one willing to take me in, and I would be a useless person who no one wanted if I left the Zhang family. At that time, I simply thought that he was strict with me for my own good, but I didn't know that this was just a means for him to suppress me. Now I think about it, I was so naive and ridiculous. Later, on my 30th birthday, Saijin Fei and Lin Yitan carefully planned an unforgettable birthday party for me. They bought a beautiful island and said that I would spend my birthday there every year in the future. They also customized a pink luxury sports car and said with a smile that they wanted me to be a Barbie for life. Although these actions were a bit childish and exaggerated, the friendship contained in them moved me deeply. I hugged them and couldn't stop crying. At that moment, I really felt the feeling of being cared for and valued. Later, when I went out to acquire a small company, I met Zhang Chenlian again. At that time, the boss of the newly acquired company took me to visit the company with a smile on his face. When I passed an office, I heard the voice that once made me feel scared and humiliated. It was still the familiar accent, but now he was no longer bossing me around, but was flattering and fawning, admitting his mistakes to others. When the boss of the company saw me suddenly stop, he explained in a low voice, "This is the training of the sales staff. The performance this month has not met the target." I stood at the door, quietly watching Zhang Chenyi's civil appearance, and my heart was no longer filled with anger and unwillingness. Only a faint sigh remained. The prince of the Zhang family, who was once high and mighty, now has to humble himself to please others for a living. This gap makes people sigh that things are impermanent, and I am no longer the little secretary who is bullied by others. With my own efforts, I have walked out a glorious road of my own, completely got rid of the shadow of the past, and welcomed a future full of infinite possibilities.